Howdy! It's time for another Messianic moment with yours truly, Stephen Brock. Before we start again, as always, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe. If you like what you're hearing, go to the subscribe button on the right side of the page on messianicmoment.com, or if you're watching on YouTube, go to that little icon, Messianic Moment icon at the bottom right corner, and subscribe on that. I really appreciate your listening, and I hope today's message helps to edify all of us. Today we're talking about Korach. That's the Parashah for this Shabbat. The Great Mutiny. So Korach, Abiram and Dathan. And by the way, Dathan did not look a thing like Edward G. Robinson. Yeah, see? Moses, you're the one in charge. I'm going to be in charge. Yeah, see? No, that was the Dathan from the movie. So Korach, Abiram, and Dathan were all leaders in their respective tribes. Now Korach was a Levite, and the other two were from the tribe of Reuben. They came against Moses and Aaron with accusations of tyranny, in that basically they accused Moses and Aaron of taking on all the authority of leadership. Korach said that they are all God's people, and they should share in the leadership and offerings, not just Moses and Aaron. Essentially what they were saying was, hey, who died and left you in charge? Now these three had convinced 250 other men, all leaders within the 12 tribes, to follow them. And God said, okay, have them all bring their offering pans to the front of the tent of meeting. Now what happened next was truly terrible. First of all, at the tent of the three who started this rebellion, Moses says that if these men were correct, then they would live long lives. But if they were wrong, then something terrible and remarkable would happen to prove I'm from God, such as maybe the earth will split open and swallow them alive down to Sheol. Well, no sooner had Moses done speaking than the earth did split open and swallowed Korach, Dathan, and Abiram and their family alive. Then it closed back over them. At the same moment, fire came out from the tent of meeting and incinerated the 250 men. This fire was so hot that the fire pans that they were holding, made out of bronze, all melted. All right, now, normally you think that would satisfy the people that Moses and Aaron were God's choice, but it didn't. Nope. The very next morning, the people accused Moses and Aaron of murdering God's people. And God is so angry that he sends a plague out that kills tens of thousands. In fact, the plague was stopped only when Aaron risked his life by carrying embers from the eternal flame in his fire pan directly into the crowd where the plague was running wild in order to stop it. Moses then said that God commanded the 12 tribal leaders and Aaron to place their staffs, everybody had a staff, in the tent of meeting, and God would show his choice of leader. Now what happened the next morning is that basically nothing changed with any of the staffs except for Aaron's staff, which not only had buds on it, but actually had fully ripened almonds growing on it. At the end of the Parsha, God charges the Levites to surround the tent of meeting and makes them basically responsible for the lives of the common people, saying that they should not allow any of the common people, meaning the non-Levites, to come close to it. Not only that, but the Levites should not intermarry with the common people or have them partake of any of the holy foods. The Levites were to be separated and apart from the rest of the tribes. No inheritance and no job other than the service of the temple. And still yet though, they are still to give a tithe. So that they receive the tithes, they give a tithe from the tithe. The Haftorah reading for this Parsha is 1 Samuel chapters 11 through 13, which basically is the story of Samuel anointing Saul, as the first king. The reason for this is that both Moses and Samuel were in the same position in a way. They had to take a ragtag group of people and form them into a nation, all the while being accountable to God and subject to the same rules and laws that the people were. Now, whereas Korach rebelled against the leadership of Moses, in the Haftorah, the people rebelled against Samuel in the way that they asked for a king. I think this Haftorah choice is a good one, but I would add one more thing. I would add Micah 6:8 to the reading. Micah 6:8 says, "He has told you, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, only to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Today's drash is about the motivation behind Korach's rebellion, which is obviously jealousy and an overactive desire for power. He thought he was also entitled to be in charge. It's obvious from the influence he had that he was indeed an authoritative and important person in his own right. That wasn't enough for him. He found like-minded men in Dathan and Abiram, and their combined influence allowed their little rebellion to grow from just 3 to a total of 250 power. Jealousy and a desire for power were the motivations, but was that the real cause of the rebellion? I believe this rebellion was not the result of desiring something, but from the lack of something. That something that was lacking was humility. The grass always seems greener on the other side of the fence, and we humans just don't seem to be satisfied with anything. It's ironic that sometimes those who have the least are generally the ones that are more satisfied with what they do have. The rich only want to get richer, and when we have plenty, we still want to have more. Proverbs 15:17 tells us it's better to have a meal of vegetables in a house full of love than a meal of meat in a house full of strife. Meaning that, essentially, for me, appreciating what you have is better than having something but not appreciating it. We also get the same message in Ecclesiastes, where no less than 3 times we are told to simply eat, drink, and be merry, and to enjoy whatever God has provided, for that is our lot in life. Now clearly, the men in this rebellion did not have the humility to accept God's chosen leaders, or what God had provided for them. Korach was a leader in the tribe of Levite, but he wanted more because he didn't appreciate the position of importance God had given him. The same obviously went for Abiram and Dathan. As for the 250 men that followed them, we really not told about their motivation, but it seems safe to say they were also wanting to have more. I've often said pridefulness is the mother of all sin, and lack of humility is a symptom of pridefulness. We must be humble in our lives if we are to be able to best serve the Lord. That means accepting what we have and appreciating what God has done for us every single day. Now wait, I am not saying we should sit by idly and not try to improve ourselves or our financial situations. I am saying that we are to be appreciative for what God has given us and share it willingly with others. We are to respect God's choice of leadership, just as Shaul said we should in Romans 13:1. This is what he said. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Finally, we need to trust that God is in charge and will provide what you need. You need to do that. If you want a better job, ask yourself, why? Is it only to make more money and to have more toys? If so, well, maybe that's not the best reason to want. However, if you want a new job so that you can be a better provider for your family, well, that's unquestionably a proper reason for wanting more. And when you pray to God for help, He will help you. We must remain humble, not only in our attitude towards God, but our attitude towards each other. We must be satisfied with God's provision and make sure that whatever we want, it is for the proper reasons. We can want more, but not if it's for selfish reasons, such as just to have more money, more power, or more influence. Finally, folks, listen. Wanting that is a result of prideful desire will only lead to ruin, whereas a humble desire to do more to please God and provide for others will yield blessings. That's my message for this Parsha. I hope it did serve to edify or help you. Please, if you want to make comments, I appreciate them. Be nice. And please make them on the website, messianicmoment.com. When you go to my website, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you go to the website and you look at the top headers, you'll see blogs, and underneath that, Parashah teachings, and then you'll see this Parashah there. And make the comments on the written Parashah at the bottom. Appreciate it. I ask you to do that because Some people read and don't watch the videos, and this way everybody can share in your comments. Other than that, I wish you the best. It's Friday, so tonight starts Shabbat, and as always, Shabbat Shalom. May you have a blessed and pleasant Shabbat, and have a great day. Baruch Hashem.